water. They're here!
We're back! So hungry. Honestly, that sandwich you made me for breakfast was fabulous. It was so tasty, but it was so little. And silly me, I'd already asked Miles, what are you watching? Godzilla vs. Kong. And then asked him again, what are you watching?
Remember like a goldfish.
I'm sorry, who are you again?
Look, Rudy enjoys his new bike.
Oh! He was so excited about that today.
Are you going to go mountain biking with him? On his new bike.
Well,
What was the new bike again?
a Rocky Mountain Slayer.
Is the company Slayer?
No, Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain.
They've been going for years.
Are they good?
Mm-hmm.
Really good?
Mm-hmm.
As good as Trek?
Different.
Yeah, since every company does something different.
Yeah, well, ice cream van number 1. Ice cream van number 2 equals ice cream van number 3.
Twister.
Are there any other numbers which, if you add the first two up, equal the next, or is it just 1 and 2? It will be just 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Of course it will. Water-bout cheese.
Yeah, what's about cheese?
Cheese.
Jinx. And when we were on holiday, we did this.
And when we were on holiday, we also did a bit of this.
What, Miles?
And I went to this and that and that. And this. And that. And that and that.
That makes absolutely no sense at all.
But it will do. But it will do.
Just me?
We also did some of this. And if you stick around to the... Jeff. I'll do my bit again, will I?
And then cheers.
And we also did this.
I'm trying to be that red parrot.
What red parrot?
So, if any of you have been wondering, can my old bike take a 1x drive system?
No.
Stick around and we'll show you.
That means no noise, no movement, nothing. Just stand still. Don't move.
Boys will be boys. So if we're going to do this new video about converting another bike to a 1x, we're going to need a bike to do a 1x conversion on. Now we can't do it on mine because I've already got a 1x. I mean, do we know anyone who's got a bike that might need a 1x? Because I can't think of anyone at all. No, just nothing. Because, you know, the kids' bikes are brand new. And, but you want a 1x conversion. All right, then, well, let's do a 1x conversion on your bike. Right, we have a job to do. We have our orders, so let's get cracking. Okay, so as even the least observant of you may have noticed, or will have noticed, today is not the same day, it's a different day. Unfortunately, I went and got a cold. It's not a very big one, it didn't hit me like a truck. It hit me more like the Eurovision Song Contest. It's gone on for far too long and it's mildly irritating. But in any case, let's get cracking. Some of you may be asking, what is a one-by drivetrain anyway? Well, let me try and explain to you. Take this Canyon Stoic for example, a fine bicycle with a one-by drivetrain. As we can see, one chainring at the front drives a 12-speed cassette at the back, making this a 1x12. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, why do I need a one-by drivetrain? What are the benefits? Well, there are a couple of benefits to a one-by drivetrain. For a start, it's less complicated. You have one shifter that goes up and down the gears sequentially, which from experience makes things a hell of a lot easier. Secondly, and this is slightly less important, it takes weight off your bicycle. You don't need to worry about the front derailleur. All you have is the setup of your back derailleur, and that's it. The front derailleur, you don't need it. Here we have Sofie's bike as is. Notice the 3 rings on the front and the 8 rings in the rear. So this is a 3x8. Now I know it's difficult to see that there were 8 rings on the back there, but trust me, 8 rings there were. So what does this mean practically? Well, practically it means in order to get most out of her gearing, she needs to gear with this hand and then gear with this hand. First few gears, change a ring. Next few gears, change a ring. Now when you're doing this, going up and down hills, it gets confusing, you make mistakes, it's no good. So anyway, shall we go and have a look at Sofie's bike? It's over here. Oh, and if you stick with until the end, we'll show you what we did on holiday. Come on. With the new crank not fitting, what I did was I removed the large chainring and then just fitted a chain guide. Had a bit of trouble with the rear derailleur, got it to work in the end. And the easiest thing to change out was the rear cassette. But what we need is another bike which I can demonstrate on. So let's see what we can do. Here we have a bike that has not yet been converted. This is Gabby's Trek Marlin. As you see, it has double chainring, whoops-a-daisy, double chainring on the front. And I'm not sure how many she has in the back, but the size of it is pretty small. So what she needs to do when she's cycling is where she is just now. She's on the small chainring at the front, and then she really shouldn't be down here because the small chainring in the front is for these gears here. But small chainring in the front and on this one here gives you your lowest gear. Big chainring on the front, and this one here gives you your highest gear, making you go faster. So if you want to change to a 1x, you can either change the crank, which is advisable, especially in this case, because this looks to be riveted. Change the rear derailleur and change the cassette. Also, change the shifter. So depending on what you want to buy, start with the cassette. So you can buy 9, 10, 11 and 12 speed cassettes. Most of them will fit on your rear wheel. The one we got for Sofie was a 10 speed. So we bought a 10 speed cassette, a 10 speed derailleur, and then a 10 speed shifter. Now the crank, if you want to change the crank, we didn't have to with Sofie's. Chances are it's going to be what's called a square taper crank, and I'll show you what that means. There's a dust cap on the front here, which I've already loosened, because I need to do this with one hand. So we take the dust cap off. Still some thread on it, there we are. And if we look in there, you'll see it's square. Now, and you'll also see that there's a thread there. You have a crank removing tool, which will help you remove the crank. It will also put the crank back on. Okay, so all we need now is to start looking at cranks. Okay then, so I went onto Amazon and I typed in square taper crank, and this is what I got. Now all you need to do is scroll through, find the one that suits your taste and your budget, order it, and then bolt it to your bicycle. After you've bolted your shiny new crank to your bike, you can then remove your front derailleur and shifter and throw them away. Now it's time to choose your cassette. Decide on the number of gears you want and choose your cassette accordingly. Here we have an 11 to 42 teeth cassette. That is to say, the smallest ring has 11 teeth and the largest ring has 42. With the 10-speed cassette now mounted to your rear wheel, all that's left to do is choose your derailleur, choose your shifter, and bolt the buggers to your bike. Okay, so those are the stages. It's fairly easy, as long as you have some mechanical know-how. If you don't have any mechanical know-how, go and consult with the bike shop. They will be able to help you, but it is possible. The things that the things that were of a concern to me from the beginning were the size of the cassette and the derailleur. But if you're buying a 10-speed derailleur for a mountain bike, it's gonna work with a 10-speed cassette for a mountain bike. The cassettes themselves are the same width as a 7, an 8 or a 9. So if you bought, for example, on my enduro bike, the width of the cassette is which is a 12-speed cassette, is exactly the same width as it is on my cross-country Cannondale, which is a 9-speed. So it has 3 extra cogs in the same space. The way they get around that is by making the cogs much thinner, which is another point. You will need a specific chain. If you have a 10-speed cassette, you will need a 10-speed chain. If you have an 11-speed cassette, same thing, 12-speed, 12-speed. So for each individual stage, like for example, removing the cassette, that's the easiest, by the way. That's simplicity in of itself. You will need specific tools, but all of the instructions to do this can be found online. Go look at Park Tool. They have an amazing set of videos. That's how I learned how to change the crank, change the cassette, sizing of the chain. That's a good one. That was a bit tricky, having to buy a brand new chain and then size it, because you can't measure it against the old chain. You can't just take the old chain off like you're replacing it and then cut the new chain to size. You have to size it. But Park Tool have a very good video for that as well. Very informative, and it certainly helped me, although the chain was one of the things which caused me the most grief. Tip number 1, have a very good chain splitter. Tip number 2, have a very good chain splitter. Tip number 3, follow the instructions to the letter. With the chain that I had, it was a Shimano 10-speed chain, which comes with this special link. Now what you're supposed to do is you take the old link out, you cut the chain to size, and then you put the new link in. You oil it up first, it's much longer, you put it in, then you use your chain tool to push it through carefully, and then the bit that sticks out, you snap off with a pair of pliers. I grease the thing out and I'm trying to shove it in, and it's not working. So eventually, after about 45 minutes of trying to get this thing to work and scratching my head and going, oh, what am I going to do now? I went to look at the Park Tool video again, and the Park Tool video said, now, push your extra link in from the back of the chain towards the mechanic. What had I been doing? Pushing it away from me, away from the mechanic. Calling myself a mechanic is a bit rich. Anyway, follow the instructions to the letter. If you do all of that, even for a reasonably incompetent mechanic, you will manage it. Sophie's bike now shifts beautifully. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, getting the derailleur set up. But that's, again, quite simple. It's set your outer limit screw, set your inner limit screw, and then set your indexing. And guess what? Park Tool have a video just for that as well. So, don't be daunted by the job. It's fairly easy. Go look at videos online, see if it works for you, buy the bits that you need. The important things are buying the right size cassette, matching it with the derailleur and the shifter. Everything else is just unscrewing, tightening, loosening, putting bits on bikes, greasing, oiling. It's that simple. So, thanks for sticking with, and as promised, here's something that we did on holiday. Unless you want to stop here. I'm going to have to wipe that. I just sang copyrighted music. So this is downtown Göttingen in Germany. This is our overnighter.
I'm gracious, I don't trust the people who are on bicycles, since they're just riding around like it's nothing, and it's so wet, and they can fall down and really hurt themselves, maybe even die on the pavement.
Well, thank you for your concern, Gabrielle. How's your lollipop?
It's okay.
It's okay. Oh, okay, I'll take it if you don't want it then.
Then is this the brake? Oh. Going upwards, and don't trust the brakes as you're going up.
How fast do you want to go?
100 miles per hour, really fast.
Don't think it's going to go 160 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that's all. Actually, I want to go 500.
Terrified.
Saying in the mic. I was not ready for this. Alright, Dad, you need to break. I'm not gonna be terrified. That was so fun. And Mum,
Guess what I did for the picture?
Mouth did that for the picture.
I just read. Oh, that's yours.
That's us. 41 and 42. How do you say that?
42, 41.
How do you show it?
642, 641.
How do you say that?
Ah, monsieur, nous voulons les photos 642 et 641, s'il vous plaît. This is a bike park as well. And next year we are coming with our bikes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't go on that one. She's not terrifying.
Go.
Looking at our holiday pictures, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
And remember, YouTubers, at One By Bikes we say
One bite is one better.